Testing. Hello. Ah, that's better. Oh, God. Hello, Hal.
Hello, Dino.
That t-shirt looks awful. Oh, raggedy t-shirt man. So, la 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 la. How are we doing this? A new thing? Well, it's not a new thing. It's an old thing. I've been trying to tidy up, and I come across stuff. This is my old trusty. Hey, Tony. Zag. Sorry. Odd. Odd. Yes, I used to have the word public mapped to one of the keys on here. The problem with these things is you get them and then you become reliant on them. So then, anyway, never mind. I'm trying. So I've got this weird setup here, which is I'm not at a desk. So this is on the keyboard is on a stand. I have my mouse on this table. Look, I'll try and show you. But there. And then here, keyboard on a stand. I don't know if you can see that, probably see it too well. Then here I've got a kind of a stool that I bought from a flea market a while back, and so that's just. But it's very makeshift. It's not something you find at IKEA, but I kind of like it. Not desk, no desk. You've heard of no sequel? No desk. It means that I'm not forever putting my arms down and sort of leaning on the table. I've screwed up my shoulders a bit like that. But hear this thing click. Terrible. Hi there, RVDM88. Sounds familiar. So, how you doing? So, but this does mean that when I'm editing. Hi, Rachel Vandermeer. That sounds familiar too. So when I'm working in Unreal, editing blueprints, I'm going to do try and get that thing to work for me as well. So then I will have. No, I'm not sure. Former student. That's it. The things are a lot of Vandermeers. How are you doing anyway? So then I've got sort of for automation. I've got Howl. I've got voice control. I've got then this thing here, which will be useful. You know, that gamepad. And then there's also I also have this. I found myself recently really just not. Is it life hacking? It's more like productivity hacking. I don't know. Sort of like going the other extreme. So this is I've been using this to help me with my scoring. As I have another project. I've got a huge number of projects at the moment. You know what? I thought I may have too many projects, but in fact, you can't have too many projects. That's the point. Come on, work. Connected panels. Score. No, Muse score. So this one. This is these pads here. They act as shortcuts on my PC. It's an app you can get. And so these are all the shortcuts for helping me enter notes. So I might get that going as well. I'll put that in front of me here. Then so I've got this, and I've got voice control, and yeah. The other thing I've been doing is this thing. If I get this up here, maybe we can shed some light on it. You see this? That is a PDS 8000, 8-second delay pedal and sampler, and kind of like a very early loop station. It's from 1985, and I bought this, and it doesn't work anymore. And in working condition, these are worth, maybe I've seen them on eBay for like £500. So I love it. It's a brilliant pedal. So I got it in the mid-80s. Here's the actual electronic board inside. And so now that's another project. 8 seconds. 8 seconds in 1985 was a big deal. Huge deal in 1985. This was very expensive. I can't even remember how expensive it was. It was probably like £300 in 1985. And I replaced I've replaced the capacitor here, which had shorted, but it's still not working properly. So I've started a project to do the schematic for this thing. That will take a while because I can't find a schematic for it. But one of the things that's nice about it is that all the integrated circuits are in sockets. You can just whip them out and put new ones in, and I think all the parts are available as well. They didn't use any kind of strange parts. So that's proving quite interesting as a challenge. But I'm really happy to be doing a bit of electronics because that's how I started. I find it really relaxing and makes me feel good doing electronics for some reason. Can I open up this thing? Here it is. So this is how far I've got. This is the that goes to the input. These are the op amps. Well, these are FET. I don't know. These are not your ordinary op amp. This is an ordinary op amp, and yeah, it takes a long time, but I'm getting a bit faster as I go. It'll take a while to map out the whole thing. 8 seconds. But I when I was playing guitar 35 years ago, it was one of my favourite things was that pedal. And I've tried other ones. You say, just go get another pedal. They don't sound the same. There was something with the way it was with electronics before we got things all kinds of digital and clinical. These days it seems like, you know, electronics for audio is based upon how measurably good it is. Like reproduces all the frequencies and all this stuff, you know, whatever. And the low distortion, low noise, all of that. But what you lose when you do that is that the electronics is no longer in itself a musical instrument. So just in the same way as they really struggle to make, say, violins. You can, or other musical instruments like that nature, that you, in theory, it's all perfect. You measure it, it's perfect. You play it, and it's meh. It's a similar thing. Bit like everything, really. Even programming, I don't know. But anyway, enough of that. 8 seconds, but yeah. Fun. All right, but I think this is stream. I'm going to carry on with my project, my other project, many projects. Then there's the music projects. We're working on Always Wear Blue at the moment. And that song had real problems because it just wasn't working. But I think we've cracked it. And then I'm learning the flute. I started learning the flute halfway through the lockdown, and that's coming along really well. But I did play the penny whistle, so it's like I've got a bit of a jump start on it. But I love the flute. I mean, it's like my new every instrument I love, but no, flute. It's great because it's compact. It's the kind of thing you carry anywhere you like. It's got a good range. It's fully chromatic. You know, guitar's a bit bulky to carry around everywhere. The trumpet is, you have to play it with a mute, otherwise someone will shoot you. Yeah, it's terrible. What do you do? What do you do these days? Yes, I'm at Splash Damage. I've been there since before Christmas. It's going okay, I think. Very, very interesting, very exciting. Hope to stay there a long time. Yeah. In this volatile industry, looking good. And yeah, so and that's one reason why I'm doing tech art at Dice. Oh, okay, all right, cool. I'm interested in Unreal for a couple of reasons. One of them is that I got a bit tired of Unity for a few reasons. I was also not learning anything. I kind of feel like I've pretty much, as far as software architecture goes, I think I've pretty much done Unity at this point. It was also, I was missing like good old C++ programming. I also was working on my programming language Phi. There's the Phi programming language channel if you want to check that out. I will be streaming from there when I'm working on Phi, and there'll be more updates. Right now, that project is waiting on this project because I want to make a graphics terminal that can be connected to over the network, because I don't want to clutter my Phi project with libraries of some, you know, whatever graphics platform. So this philosophy of connecting things over the network, or in fact in a connection agnostic way, is fundamental to the Nugget architectural framework, which is another project. But, that one is sort of more like ongoing as I try it out on various projects. Yes, so for Phi, what I want to do is have the language able to communicate over the network with sockets, which is very, very lightweight and easy to do and doesn't require, you know, just use boost.
Boost, boost, boost.
And it would connect, or it will connect to a running application that is able to do graphics. That's the idea. So I could write that in Unity, but what's the fun in that when I want to learn Unreal? Also, you know, where I'm working now, Splash Damage, they use Unreal. So I have a motivation to learn Unreal as well. So this stream, as you're watching me learning Unreal while at the same time making my graphic terminal, the Nugget window. You can see in the middle of the screen there's kind of a stack of my current process. So let's take a little look at that. We've got PyDev, that's the development environment. So that's the programming language development. For which I need Nugget window, for which I choose to use Unreal 4, for which I am learning, and I have basic Nugget window API. That's what I'm working on at the moment. And let me start up the project. Well, I just have. We're going to open up Visual Studio. No, it's spelt as FI. It's called FI because it's a functional imperative language, and that is neither functional nor imperative, or it's functional and imperative, depending on which way you look at it. Pretty much not like any other language as far as I can see. That was my claim. Nobody has yet called me an idiot for calling it that. It doesn't have a program counter. So it's just a fundamentally different way of constructing constructing a computer effectively. Well, it's a software architecture, but you could create a computer with it. At least that's something I want to prove. I suspect you can. I don't think anybody's done it yet. But that's another reason I'm interested in electronics again, because I want to try and do that at some point. And so it's so I called it phi for functional imperative, but also because phi is the end of if. Certainly if you used to bash, the if statements in bash are terminated with phi. So phi is the end of if, and phi is the end of if because since it doesn't have a program counter, it doesn't have any control flow statements, it doesn't have an if statement. And there you go. Yeah, I know. So FI on the other hand. So let's have a look. Developer tools. I want to get my output log. It's the most important window, so of course it keeps disappearing. This is the most important window. More important than any other. And I'm going to run the project. Doing everything okay, right? Then I'm going to get my Sigwin going. And I can run this command test2. Actually, let's put this over here instead. And oh, the commands came in, but I'm actually in the wrong scene right now. Probably it may even have created the. I don't know, that's weird. Let me try that again, but actually loading the scene that we should be in. So I hit play and I run this, and there we go. So what actually happened there is that it sent over the network this file, which has some commands. It says make cube position 00100, rotation 0001. That's angle and axis, or yeah, angle axis. and scale. And so it made 3 cubes, different orientations, scale. In the short stream on Friday, I think I added the scaling and rotation. The thing I think I need to work on now is I need to, yes, I need to change easy screen. That's weird. I need to make it so that it can handle disconnects, and that is going to be a little bit of work, but I really should do it because it's going to slow me down otherwise. I'm going to open the level blueprint up. Here's the blueprint for the Unreal side of this thing. I'm doing it all in blueprints, yes. Now there are 2 reasons why I'm doing it all in blueprints and not in C++. One of them is that I want to learn about blueprints integration with C++ and blueprints itself. The other reason is because I want to understand how to build a solid architecture in C++, sorry, in blueprints, because one of the huge issues that you get is blueprints is programming without the typing. There is no difference between blueprints and programming, none at all. So unfortunately what happens is that because it's perceived as being more accessible, and it is more accessible in the sense that you can just sort of throw stuff together without having to type, and for some reason typing is a barrier, but or perceived as a barrier. Any old person these days can throw things together in Unreal and they don't even realize they're programming, and so then they end up creating huge mess because they are not thinking like a programmer. And this is a really huge issue. It's got to the point where I'm seriously considering the value in blueprint. What we need is a focus on blueprint architecture, because it's exactly the same as software architecture. How can we construct maintainable, reusable code in blueprints that's manageable and doesn't become a complete and utter mess? Go to the site Blueprints from Hell. What's that? Execute entire game on tick event. I'm trying all kinds of weird stuff. Like, usually what you do is you attach, you put an object in the scene, and then you make blueprints attached to objects. But the problem is that before long it's very difficult to understand which object is doing what, and you end up with an utter mess of code scattered around the 4 corners of your project. And this is also a problem with Unity, especially with things like user interfaces. So I developed an architecture for Unity using what I call a notice board pattern. This resulted in only extremely thin amounts of code attached to objects. This philosophy is very, very light weight wrappers around objects in the scene, and all the actual heavy lifting is just done in C code, in C++, sorry, C sharp for Unity. It's done in C sharp code in one place. So you have a big program and it just drives everything. It's not very object orientated, but it's much, much better. And I think that's what you're talking about there, because that's what this is. This is not done in your traditional way that blueprints are done. Everything you see that was happening, which was reading from the stream, the network, creating the objects, positioning and rotating them is all done in here. One blueprint, one level blueprint, and it does everything. And I'm not even using the tick. I have to use nplay to shut down the sockets. And I'm experimenting with a lot with these latent actions, including making my own. So here, socket listen is a function. I wrote that in C++ on stream. Listens for a socket. And then this waits for a request. Then it accepts the request. You see the wait is a latent action. That's how it can, you know, do that. You know, without having to sort of have an object in my scene that handles connections. It's just connect to the socket, wait for a string. So this is quite a lot of functionality in that. It just waits for a string that can be processed. Each line of my you know, my commands, every single one executes this again. Gets the received string. It parses it into an array, sets a counter, gets the first parameter of the thing, which could be make, pause, rot, scale, those commands that you saw. It saves the second one. So if it's make, the parameter after it is the value for what to make. And it does it in pairs. That's just the way I've set up this API. So it gets the next value, which was the current value plus 1. There's the 1 there. And saves it. So it caches the making, if you're making a cube or whatever, the position, the rotation, and the scale. And then adds 2 to count, what checks to see if it's finished parsing all of the command line arguments. If not, it comes back and it does the next one. So that command is basically then parsed and put into a set of variables, making, position, rotation, and scale. Then it when it's finished, it continues execution by taking the value that was set for making and using a switch. Currently, the only switch available is cube, because this is only available for making cubes. So this whole bit here is all for making a cube. Well, it spawns a cube, which is fine, but I need a transform. The transform has to have a certain location. The location comes from 3 elements of an array, the array being the position that was parsed from the command earlier, split on commas, 3, 2, 1, whatever, is used to make the vector which gives the location. The rotation is taken in to, I think it's good to give a, this is like previously on Dino's Yet Another Project. The rotation string that was set here, right? It is also split on commas for 4 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, which are the x and y and z of the axis upon which to do the rotation and also the angle. So I make a vector for the axis, pass that into rotator from axis and angle, and I also give it the angle, and then the return value is a rotation, which is put into the transform that I use for spawning the cube. The scale follows a similar pattern to the position. Again, x, y, and z scale. These are automatically created when I drag these. These are casts because it has to go from a string to an actual float. That's quite nice that you can just do that and it'll do it for you. The return value of here is a vector which comes into the scale, and this allows the cube to be spawned at the position I want, rotation I want, and scale that I want. Now what I have to do now is handle, this could be a bit tricky, it's going to be a little less exciting and could take a little bit of work, because what I want to do is have the system handle a disconnection. I need to think about how to do that, because although this works, if I disconnect from, you know, I'm using netcat to just send commands over the network. It's just a utility, right? But if that disconnects, I can't reconnect again, and I really need to. So I want to achieve the ability to reconnect. Just going to catch up on the chat, and then I'll carry on. You can nest logic. You can make your own blueprint nodes out of blueprint logic. The big trap is that new users tend to run the entire logic of the blueprint on tick frame, so you get a massive overhead. Yeah. It's best to not work in level blueprints, as they're a vestige of Kismet from UDK. It's kind of hard to make logic between levels. I will tell you why it's absolutely great to use. I disagree with that, and I'll explain why. If you use it correctly. The problem that you're saying about logic between levels is a very valid point, but it's worth devising a way around that, because, wait a minute, I was going to say because you've got delays, you've got latent actions, but actually you can have latent actions also on objects, can't you? It's not just level blueprints. So I take that back a little bit. Because like I say, I think a good architecture is that the blueprints that you put on objects in your scene are very small. They don't have any game state in them. They might respond to particular commands. I mean, if you've got a character that animates, right? It's the same principle of good software architecture. If you've got a character that animates, you might need to have a complex blueprint in that case for managing, which animations it can play. But in the end, you want to get it down to a very simple message that it receives a message, it plays that animation, for example. Maybe you use other sort of modules that exist in Unreal, but it's just to give an idea. But in general, it's very, I would tend to try and keep those attached to objects really small and put everything else in the level blueprint. Then, of course, the level blueprint will get very big. So, but that's just like the level blueprint is like a master CPP file or C# file. So then, yeah, you maybe have to try and split it up in some way. But to make an object with a blueprint logic, yeah, maybe. I mean, I to make an object with a blueprint logic in each level. The thing is that then that creates a dependency between the level and the code. I hate that. I hate that in Unity as well. In Unity you end up, so maybe you're right. Maybe it has to be done, and it's like it has to be really done that way in Unity as well. But I don't like it, so I'm trying not to do it. But it's like in Unity you invariably end up with a module being attached. You attach the code for a module, or a manager, right, is often used for. You attach it to an object, and you put the object in the scene, and the object has no purpose other than to hold this script. And you end up with a whole loads of these things. And it just annoys me because I'm a bit old school. I like the idea of there being a program that's in one place. You know where it is. It's the source code, should be kept as source code. The problem you've got now is bits of source code are turned on and off, in effect, depending on the state of the scene. And it causes all kinds of problems. The biggest one being initialization. So what you want to do is you're testing your scene out, but in order to test your scene out, you need to have certain managers active. But those managers are normally loaded at the beginning when the game loads, and they're not, they're persistent, right? They don't go away. Yeah, but when you're working on your game, you don't want to have to go through the main menu every time. You don't want to have to go through the normal startup sequence. You want to be able to work on what you're working on and get there very quickly. But But now you don't have all this other baggage that you need, because the code isn't code. The code is code treated as data scattered between these flipping levels. So the way I get over this with Unity is I follow a very strict pattern with these. If you have something that's like, connection manager, right? Try and avoid using the word manager, but everybody knows what it means, right? So what you do is you create an object called connection manager, and it holds a script, and the script is called connection manager. And you need to put the connection, and then you put it into a prefab called connection manager, which you then put the prefab into the scene. Right? And the scene that would normally be loaded at the beginning of the first scene, and it would be persistent. So when you change from one scene to another, it doesn't get destroyed. That's great. But then what I do is in the awake, I check to see, have we already got this running? And if so, destroys
Hi, Captain.
it. Shh.
Success.
Quiet, Hal. So if I do that, then it checks to see if it already exists or not. If it does already exist, then it just destroys itself to ensure that you don't end up with two of these damn managers. Why, you might ask? What situation could you possibly have that happen? Well, because when you're working on a scene by itself and you want to jump straight into that scene, it makes sense to put the connection manager in the scene you are building. But if you put the connection manager in the scene you are building and then load it in the game when you make a build, you end up with the thing trying to start up twice. Once in the normal flow, and then it loads your level, and there it is again. You might say, well, you should turn it off. Why should you turn it off? Because what's going to happen then is you might forget to turn it off. And anyway, when you load it back up next time and you pull it off source control and you just want to go into that scene, you'd have to turn it back on again. That's really inconvenient. And then you'll end up running your scene and it break. And then you go, oh, it's broken. Oh, I forgot to turn that on again. So what I do is I just allow that to be, every scene can have a copy of the connection manager or whatever. Every scene can have that, so that every scene can work and run on its own. But if you in a build, these things just create themselves immediately. They appear and they immediately disappear because they're not needed. And this pattern works really well. That's the kind of thing, though, I find really annoying. So if it's possible to have everything in one place, that would be great. Problem is that even here, I'm only going as far as the level blueprint. And now I'm wondering, is there a project blueprint? Because the level blueprint isn't good enough. This is, I'm not at that point yet, but at some point down the line, it's like, I am working in this level. I hit play. I want the level to run. Oh, I have a problem because the setup is done by this other level, and I need that level to run first before this level runs. But I'm in this level. So what do I do? It might be possible for it to detect, when you're playing in the editor, maybe to sort of store which level you were in somewhere, and then go to a different level, which is the one that sets things up, which then can read where you started, then jump back. God, it's a mess. So anyway, we'll see how you handle. In fact, now there's an Unreal expert on the channel here, so I'm just going to read and see if they have a solution. Hang on a minute, because I'm lagging behind the chat. Hey Mike, how you doing? Good day. That's quite a lot of lag at the moment. You can use events and call event to act as a loop back to other areas of the blueprint. Yeah. One of the issues with events, though, is it can be very difficult to follow the cause and effect of events. So, but yes, there's a bunch of different ways of handling it. the notice board pattern I use is quite nice because it sort of it means that the person generating the message is not responsible for its delivery, and that works quite well. It's like having a postman. UDK wasn't cheap though. Yeah, the same function. They are the same function between level and regular blueprint. The only difference is hard coding of in-level assets that you can refer to, though. That's bad practice, as you can quickly break stuff by changing things in your scene. Absolutely. The problem with level blueprints is that they're only in one level. They are only in the one level that you blueprinted it in, unless you copy over the logic to each level that you make. Yeah. Yeah, so then the argument is to put it into a manager object, which is in the scene. So it's the same thing as Unity all over again. But you've got a point. One thing that could be done is, however, is to perhaps have a thin... Yeah, okay. You could have on the level blueprint a very simple level blueprint that every level has that calls certain functions to initialize that are in other places, I guess. But yeah, it's a good point. What you can do though is make a blueprint function that you can then just dump in each level blueprint. Yeah, that's basically what I was just saying. Yeah, that's cool. Blueprint functions are great to make standalone nuggets of logic that are reused a lot. In the world settings, you can link a bunch of... Oh, okay, right. So there may even be a game-wide blueprint. Lots of things to find out later. So, anyway, right. To get down to it. I need to figure out how to handle a lost connection. The first question is, how do I know that the connection is lost? So there is a polling action going on, which, yeah, it's sort of like I need to loop back. So if I do socket wait string, right, I need to be able to detect that there's been a problem, which is a disconnection. And if it's disconnection, I need to go back to the socket listen. I have to figure out a way of coming from here back to here. Now, one way is to write this so that I have a boolean that comes out, and the boolean would be, you know, we have a problem because the connection has actually ended. Instead of coming to here, then it branches back. But this would require a rather ugly construct where I take the boolean and I put it into a branch, and this connects to the branch, and then this can branch back to here. Another way is to actually put into the latent action a second output, exec. And I found an example called twice delay, which I was using to help me understand, you know, how to do latent actions. And that shows that you can do that. You can have multiple outputs from a latent action and choose different ones. That would be really elegant, because if it's completed here, I don't know where it gets the name completed from, but anyway, it'll go here, but I can create a second one, which is called disconnect. So while waiting, anytime there is a new string, it keeps triggering. You see, what's not clear about this is basically a never-ending latent action. It's kind of similar to an event, but it's in line. The normal way you would do this is with an event. So the system, there is an event generated when a string arrives, and then you have an event here, and the event connects to there. You know, from a point of view of architecture, though, this is not always great. The biggest problem with it is that, in theory, you could have this event happening at the wrong time. Then who's interested? You know, asynchronous events hitting a state machine, it starts getting gnarly. This is a state machine, because as soon as you're using the latent actions, then it's like a program counter. I'm here waiting for a connection request. I'm here waiting for a string. So if it can be done this other way, I'm waiting for a string. When I get a string, I process the string. Or alternatively, there's a disconnect, and I come out of here and go back, and I listen for another one. This would be really elegant. Take care. See you. Thanks for stopping by. So I think that's what I'll do. Actually, that would be quite elegant. So at the moment, I'm looking at 400 lines in my C++ code. I'm putting all my C++ integration code into the BP function library. Why not? It's all in one file, and why not? I mean, there's all different modular things going on in here. It's not a problem to have that. And when it becomes a problem, I could think about splitting it into different files then. What I'm going to try is take this and do twice delay, demonstrate. This is an example of one of these that has a latent action that has more than one exec. So that was also a test to make sure it was working. If I go into the header file, I'm going to look for the one that waits for a string, socket wait string. And if I add this in here, expand enum as execs, I need to add this in front of the structure. This is going to be called something else. This is disconnect exec. And I think everything else is, we can keep the same. But I do need to create this, which is going to be called, how complete is from the name of this, I get it. So this is going to be called disconnect exec. This first output is received and disconnected. Except I did that in the wrong place. There we go. And yeah, we've got delay exec, delay disconnect, uint8, really. Save those bytes. Doesn't save anything, I don't think. Frown upon that. But anyway, it's because I'm using derived from example code, so I won't change it. All right, so what we need to do now is socket wait string. I need to go back to function library. We need to find socket wait string, and I need to copy that before the struct argument. The other thing I need to do is to deal with this exec. Yeah, it's just passed through. Into the implementation. So I need to pass in the exec, but this means I need to change the constructor here to also take an exec, and then copying the example from here, we need one of these as well. We need to set that up. We set that up, and that's great. So set up this exec ref thing. I need to do something with that exec. Get the sample down here. This exec ref needs to equal, so I just set that to tell it which branch it should take. So it's disconnect exec. Because the autocomplete doesn't work. Emacs, the autocomplete would probably work anyway. Here the autocomplete won't work until I compile. Great stuff. I have to go back here, and it was received. So back here, there we go. Received. I'm going to see if that works. What should happen? Build this is, hopefully I won't get any errors. It's taking a while because it's having to recompile all the headers. Lockdown beer, lockdown hair, no matching token. No matching token found. Okay, well, there we go. I was missing a comma. Not comma, parenthesis. I might as well call it a comma, given, you know, usual problem of cryptic error messages from the compiler. Nothing to do with the error. Okay, right, so that's working. We come back to here. This needs to be removed. It doesn't exist anymore. No, sorry, that does exist, but don't need it. Wait for string. It doesn't exist like this anymore. I've got to get it again. Did it blend? Did it reload? Oh, yes, it did. Okay, got to always check that because, yeah, I had the instance of the hot reload breaking the other day. Found a way of changing the sound effects for the editor. We'll have fun doing that at some point. The sound effect that currently exists when it does the compile is this very high-pitched little squeak, which I can barely hear and is really annoying. I can barely hear it because it's like I'm old. And so my hearing is not what it used to be on the high frequency thing. So socket. Socket wait string. And oh, that worked. That's cool. I've now got two outputs. I've got one for received, and then we'll have one for disconnected, but I'm not going to use that just yet because I want to do a test to make sure that I didn't break anything. So I'm going to hit play, come over here, and then run my test. Oh, sweet. Now, what I need to do, it's interesting because what's happening under the hood, I mean, I really like this, using latent actions in this way, because as far as this blueprint is concerned, there's no polling. It's like it stops until a string arrives. It doesn't sit there having to keep checking all the time whether a string has arrived or keep checking whether there's been a disconnection. The program is doing that, but it's underneath. It's under the hood. Under the hood, it has to do that. From here, no. And that's really, really clean. Because this function here, this update operation, is actually executed once a frame. And I want a polling solution for the networking because it gets rid of aforementioned problems regarding asynchronous messages being received by a state machine that's in some kind of state that may not be in the state that's ready to respond to the event. So in actual fact, when you've got a bunch of state machines communicating with each other, polling can be a very good way of keeping things manageable, because you only, by polling, you only care about the message being received when you care about the message being received. The notice board pattern is good though, because with that one, the module that an asynchronous event occurs for example a disconnect, can simply post on the notice board, there has been a disconnect. And then it doesn't care about who's interested in that. Then any other module that's interested in the disconnect can either poll it if it wants, or it could ask the notice board to send it a message when the event occurs. So by doing it that way, the one generating the message never has any idea who's interested in the receipt of the message, as it should be, and anybody interested in the message can either choose to poll the message or can choose to have an event, and can ask for this event without ever knowing who's responsible for posting the message. This is very, very nice. It's this notice board pattern again. Very nice abstraction, completely different from asking the module that detects a disconnection and bothering it with, do you mind, just, I know you're very busy, but next time there's a disconnection, any disconnection, can you let me know, please? Yeah, all right then. I've got to keep, my job wasn't hard enough now, I've got to keep a great long list of everybody who needs to know. It's like it's wrong to mix those concerns together. Most software is written that way, by the way. But anyway, so this is executed every frame, and I do a socket get string. Now this is in fact this function, socket get string, and it returns a bool to say if it's been received. So yes, it will return, it's a bit ugly, but it will return a null string if it doesn't, if a string wasn't received. And you can tell if it's actually that the string that is a null is received that was a null, or that it really is there was no received string. It tells the calling function by setting this received. Now this is the point where I'm actually talking to the socket directly. So here we have has pending data as part of the API of the socket, FSocket of Unreal Engine, has pending data. I'm hoping that API has a way of detecting that the connection has been lost. This can be a bit gnarly with socket stuff though. I'm just going to take a look at Unreal Socket API. Have a look at sockets, Unreal documentation. Type defs, enums, functions. Get through all the flipping operators. What? I don't know, just normal functions. All operate. Enums, type defs, constants, classes. Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. So it's the connection socket. FSocket. It's in here. Right. Sorry, it's a bit silly. Right, I have to go to this one. Yeah, we're in our FSocket. We got FSocket, functions, accept, close, connect, get address, get description, get peer address, get socket type, has pending, no, data, listen, receive from, send to, set broadcast, set integer, set multi, cast interface, set non-blocking, set receive buffer, set receive error. Enables error queue support for the socket. Let's check the documentation on this one. Let's see how helpful this is. Set receive error enables error queue support for the socket. Set receive error. Use error queue. Remarks. Enables error queue support for the socket. Returns true if the call succeeded, false otherwise. Parameter, whether to enable error queuing or not. Oh, God. Just useless. There's no useful information in there whatsoever. I knew it. Receive. All right. Well, I do a receive call. What does it return? Reads a chunk of data from the connected socket. A return value of true does not necessarily mean that data was returned. That's handy. Callers must check the bytes read parameter of the amount of data. Value of 0 indicates that there was no... Right, so what does the bool actually return? Returns... Right. True on success or false in the case of a closed socket or unrecoverable error. Okay, so what I'm going to do is see that. It's probably not going to be enough. Often been here before. Else we go in here. Right, so connection socket has pending data. If false, then we had an error. Now I need this function to return the error. So maybe I will just set up an enum. Enum received error none, because it's 3 states and I can only send 2 with a bool. Enum receive state. What's the name of this? Enum receive state. Receive state. Get socket string. Output in here, this is now needs to be a received state. See where else I call this. Receive state. I'll call it again. Now, one problem is this UBP function library socket get string. I need to check to see if I actually have that function. Socket get string here. I'm going to remove this because as soon as I don't want to expose, if I expose that to blueprints, then I need to expose that enum. I can't be bothered in any way. I don't really need to sort of deprecate it. I'll try that. Make it so. Make it so.
I, Captain. Compilation failure.
Compilation. Painful. Member of UBP function library. Socket get string is not a member of UBP function library. This is true because now I might as well just make it a C style function. Otherwise I have to mess around with the header. Cannot convert from bool to receive state. Yes. Received. None. Received equals received. Receive state none. Receive state received. Else received state error. That should do it. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so.
I, Captain. Hello, Dino.
Yes,
Compilation failure.
Yes, Hal. Hello, Hal. Receive state. Undeclared identifier. Receive. Receive, not received. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Hang on. I think there's a bad connection on this. Make it so. Make it so.
I captain. Compilation failure.
Initializing cannot convert from. Okay. So there's often a thing about using auto. Here's a great time to use auto. Auto received equals received. Sometimes have asked me, what do you think of auto? There are two kinds of people who ask that question. The ones who want you to answer that you never use auto ever. And pragmatic ones. Receive state, there we go. Receive state none. See, that is a lovely example of when to use auto, because now I don't have to type receive state twice. Make it so.
I captain.
Unless, of course, it doesn't like it.
Compilation failure.
It didn't mind that at all. We've got a problem. Socket get string is right. That's because now it's a C style function. Make it so.
I captain. Compilation failure.
We now have an undeclared identifier. Receive state. Now I'll put that D in again. Make it so. Make it so.
I captain.
Double. What happens if
compilation failure?
That was a bit freaky. It sort of tried to do it twice. Nothing bad happened though. Receive state cannot convert from. Okay. Auto received. What's this? Not sure what was the command. Hal is getting overexcited and decided to do something. I need to know. Shoot, I clicked on a I should get rid of that. That's dangerous on there. Unpin from taskbar. That's the restart. I hit the wrong thing here. Unpin that. All kinds of confusion now. I meant here. Oh. Looks like I have more than one. Right, let's just shut down everything then. Yeah, okay. I need to restart that in a moment, but I wanted to see what was the command that... Oh, turn off heater. You thought I said turn off heater. I'm cold. Al, turn on heater. Thank you. I don't know why it does that. Al, initiate Unreal Restart Protocol.
That's a mouthful. You should have used boost.
Okay, right, so restored back to where we were. Make it so.
I captain.
Illegal token on the right of.
Compilation failure.
Yes, it is true because there is no false. What if that's a lie? None. Make it so.
I captain. Compilation failure.
Socket get string is not a member of. Yeah, okay. Make it so.
I captain. Success.
One or more blueprints have a resolved. Yeah, trying to play, and it's not really going to succeed in playing till I adjust blueprints. Probably. Let's see what happens. I hit play. All right, hit cancel. Oh, blueprint failure. Yeah, it failed compile. Why? Oh, in use. Expanding from socket wait string no longer exists. That's in here. Ah, okay, but this was the BP nugget test, yes. Then here as well. This is because I modified. I removed that function. It isn't being called, but it's causing a compile error. So even with blueprints, you can get sort of compile time errors. Really annoying. It's not being called. Try again. Oh, there it is. Managed to get there. Is socket wait for string? Oh. Oh, right. Let's just get rid of that. Try again. Right, that's actually running now. We get back to the event graph of, right, this, I'm not even using this anymore because I'm in the level blueprints, open level blueprints. Here we are back here again. I'm hoping I can just go from there to, and now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to automate this a little because I'm tired of having to type print every time. Now, shall I use, so the things have different advantages. If I use this, it's kind of handy. The problem is remembering. So I think this one is a very kind of detailed thing. I'm going to put in this. I'm going to put it in this. So see if this works. I could also just say to Hal I could do it with Hal, couldn't I? But Hal's a bit unreliable and could randomly start sort of doing stuff. So I'm going to work on this. I'm going to edit the panel. I suppose I can do this. And I just crashed OBS Studio. I need to check now if it's still. La 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 la. Are we still live? La la la. Yeah, okay. I'm back. Thank you, Mike. What happened is I moved the window off the screen in OBS Studio, and it... Hi, Mark, sorry, how you doing? And it crashed. I need to get fancy with it. You know, maybe I can move. No, that's not going to work. I could turn this one off. No, do okay. And then with that turned off, I could move this one up here, and you can see. Right. So this thing, what is it called? It's called Action Pad. Action Pad. Yes. And it's a bit clunky, but it actually works. It's not pretty, but it works. I only care that it works. I don't care if it's not pretty. I have here Stream Ring. Let's just edit that. Faintly disturbing. Delete. We go at... It's a typo. Windows. Right, let's try that again. Streaming. Create. Streaming. And so then I can go to panels. Streaming. I'm already there. Edit. And I can make... Oh, come on. Plus, that's it. And I want to do execute. I want to execute multiple actions at a single. Send keyboard strokes. Right, action button. That's what I want. Now I've got this action button. Look at the lag. This is a different topic, but you see that lag? How it lags behind my finger. This is how they're killing the fun in games. Everybody. Right, that's time for another rant. I could rant about that all day. Input lag. Ugly. Anyway. So, right. So I forgot that. Then, yeah, the user interface of this thing is not best either, but edit actions. No, one moment. How do I change the name? Yeah, that's how. Right. And so this one is going to be called print. When I press this, it's going to type print. And so we'll add an action in here, which is text action. I'll have a bit of text action now. Type the following text. Print. Save. It's such a simple idea. Look at this. Now, when I press this, just test it with Notepad. I'm in Notepad, I press this, and it doesn't work because I'm not connected. I have to connect to the computer. Right, twice. Print. So simple. Let's just plug this in so the battery doesn't turn out. And now you can't. You can see up there, right? So when I go and I do like this, and then I just press print, and there it is. I could actually go a bit further than that because now I've got edit. Edit this. We'll do print and return. Print string, actually. Let's do print string, return. Save that. Close. This, edit it, and print string. Done. Right. So let's try this again, because now if I go there and I do print string, come on, where was the enter? You should do return. Print string. Yeah, I want. All right, maybe I need to add a little delay. Oh, here we go. Automation, and here, and this. We'll do. Save that. Add a delay of 0.25 seconds. Save. Then add a text action, which is going to be there we go. Enter, save, close, done. We'll go like this, and come on, do it. Oh, come on. Are you serious? You cannot be serious. You cannot be serious. You're gonna make me hit the enter key. It might be to do with I will not be defeated. Print string. Enter. Edit. Print string. Oh, it crashed. Streaming. Here. Edit. Print string. Text action. Text action. It's probably this. It just doesn't like. Or it's a timing problem. I will not be defeated. We drag this like so and we hit the button. Come on, come on, come on. Rumble. Of course, as always, when you're trying to automate things. Hi Mark. There I could try, but as you can see, there's this little twist, which is that you know, it's gonna force me. It's gonna force me to click with the mouse. How weird is that? I have one more go. It's got to be possible. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Let's put the delay, longer delay. Let's put a delay of 1 second. And then we'll save. And the text action is going to be enter. Return, right? Just having trouble sending the return is always the same. Just the same old, same old. Hello. We're doing some automation. We need to send the return key. Well, it's a non-printable character. You think you can just send a non-printable character and it's just going to work? Yes, that is exactly what I would expect. One of the advantages of streaming, by the way, is that you can literally talk to yourself and people don't think you're mad. Within reason. Isn't that right? Yes, that is right. Right, so we just do this close. Done. That's amazing. Utterly amazing how it just refuses to do it. That would be so nice, wouldn't it? So nice. So very nice. Just try there and on this one. I could try key press. You know that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm not thinking I will not be defeated. You know me by now and I want to get a computer to automate a task. You know, because after all, that's what computers should be good for. Execute a set of keystrokes. So I think that's it. I was trying to send it as text, but actually I need to send it as a keystroke. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Enter special key. Right. So with a delay of 1 second, so I can follow what's happening. We do done. Okay, right. Let's try this again. And it goes print string. Oh, yes. Oh, that felt so good. I finally got the computer to automate. Oh, my word. All it took was a whole iPad attached to my computer and some software installed on my iPad and installed on my PC and a script I wrote just to get it to mind. I can now edit. I can edit this. I will not be defeated. I mean, I'm not being unreasonable, am I? Or I make my computer do things for me. Who's driving who? Otherwise, the computer's driving me. I mean, you know. We can drag this like this, and with the other hand as well, I can just go like that, and I do print string. And it doesn't work. Why? I didn't hit done. Right, and it print string. Boom. That just makes me feel so good. So, and then on here, we can make it say disconnected. And lots of exclamation marks so that we can see it easily in the logs. How's that? And there we go. And we hit play. And then we go and bring this up. And I suppose I could get Hal to run this one. All right, well, never mind. Okay, right. So there we go. Unknown command. Unknown command. Unknown command. Unknown. It's got stuck into. So there is some kind of error here. So what I will do, stop this. So it broke something. I'm just going to break that because I'm sure this worked before when I did this. Speed up the testing. Actually, it probably is a good idea for me to make it run the test. This one I could probably do via HAL. What's the complication? The complication is it needs to be a bash script. I also need the command kill all. I don't have it. No, I'm going to have to just keep it manual for now. So we run that. I go into here and all right. So there's something has gone wrong. Attempted to access, right? Yep. That's weird. I think this problem was not to do with what I last. It's got to do with changes in here. Maybe I just need to rebuild everything. Let me just try that because I had that problem of the restart issue. Make it so.
I captain. Success.
I mean, the great thing would be if it would build and run the entire test, including starting the fake client. Okay, this is not working. So now I have to figure out why. Let's do some debugging. Probably the problem was when I changed the received. Oh, because it says if received. Oh. This is nasty. But I did if received because I did an implicit. Well, that's nasty. I did an implicit cast. There's probably a warning generated. I don't know. An implicit cast from the enum to a bool. It means that it would execute this if none, meaning it's executing it even when nothing is received. Okay, well, it's easy to fix, but it's kind of a nasty that didn't get reported. The fix for it is to say if received equal receive state received. I put a comment in. Yeah. All right. So that would be an example of a bad comment. All right. Let's look for another one. Received. If received equals receive state received. Okay, that should fix it. Yeah, Mark, it really should. And if that's another thing that I would love to get an opportunity to develop, because I am so tired of the way that computers are so dumb. I mean, and the problem is Microsoft kind of ruined it because they invented that stupid paperclip, and that put everybody off the idea. But it actually is a good idea. It can watch and understand and intervene. And as long as you have a way of correcting it, it's not a problem. It might be that sometimes it gets it wrong, but as long as you can correct it and it's you can undo it, who cares? As long as on average it increases your productivity. It's certainly all of the, but notice this, all of the research into AI, where's it all going? Faking videos, making fake actors, making fake music. It's all fake. It's faking everything. You're using AI. That's one aspect. The other side of it is data analysis, predicting stuff so that they can figure out what music is going to get the maximum amount of money. So that's why all songs sound the same. They use computers to figure out. That's how they came up with, whoa. I actually went shopping today. I was in the supermarket. There was this music playing. It was awful. It was like the same little melodic hooks that you've heard in 17 billion different songs, because the AI told them. So it's on that. Tell me, where is the AI to actually help you and me do our work? That AI, no priority at all. The AI to analyse to death what it is that you might want to buy tomorrow, and half the damn time it tells you about things you've already bought. hey, maybe you're interested, you know, in, I don't know, pick something random, a harp. Maybe you're interested in a harp. It's like you're going, yeah, no, you stop telling me about harps. I just bought a harp. I didn't just buy a harp, but if I had, you know, it's just like crazy. They spend a huge amount of research figuring out what programs you might be interested in watching. I mean, yeah, admittedly, that can be quite useful in a way. I'm finding that on YouTube, the algorithm on YouTube has sort of begun to figure out what kinds of things I like to watch. So that's okay. But what about the research into user interface design to help you and me not have to repeat things? Look at IntelliSense. It's so primitive. It's a joke. It doesn't even have like context sensitive stuff. Not really. It's put in as a feature and it doesn't really work very well. But it doesn't matter. It only needs to work enough that they can say it's a feature, and then it's another tick in the box. You know, that's it. You're so right, Mark. Yeah, exactly. It's got to be easier than creating an AI to win at Go. That'd be great. That'd be great. You know, I could be here doing. Here's an example. I could have been just typed in something, right? And then I could start a rant. And the AI would figure out that I'm ranting. And so it would know that at some point I'll be interested in running the thing. Well, what could it do? It could go, okay, well, while he's ranting, I'll just run it for him. Yeah, it'd be great. I suppose that's why I like having Hal around, even though I haven't put much into Hal. Hal is just voice attack. But it's interesting just looking at how, I mean, we already know that sometimes Hal seems to, in an uncanny way, understand my mood. It wants to reach out. Sometimes when I'm a little frustrated and I make a sigh, like that. It didn't happen then because, you know, it was too obvious. But more than once we've heard it, haven't we? I'm just there and I just make a sigh and it says, "Hello, Dino." It's uncanny. Anyway, where were we? If I go back and if I run this, right, let's see if this works now. So I'm running this and I run my script and, well, this time it successfully interesting. It successfully created the scene and then it started with the unknown command. So let's go and have a look. Now I need to figure out. So it got better, but it's still got an issue. It's like, here's one thing. It's like if it picked up a pattern, it's for AI. The pattern, it could pick up that I'm always switching between, Visual Studio and Unreal. I'm always switching between it. So when I do Alt-Tab, it could figure out that probably the one that I want. I mean, it could. A button. Or you just have a button and it's like, what you think I want to do next. In fact, yeah, that'd be great. What you think I want to do next. And then have a good boy and bad boy. 3 buttons. And the computer figures out, and you can ask it. And it's just that one button. Hit the button. It's that. It can't be that hard. Anyway, what I need to understand is if the state is received, when I get the string, I set it to none, and it only sets it to receive if it was received. I think let's have a look. What I'm going to do is have a look at this with a breakpoint, just to try and understand what is going on, because that's a bit weird. It's like it could understand. I could just... It should know what I'm going to do next. Surely. So I'm going to do that there, and then... So it keeps on saying something was received even when it wasn't. Very odd. Okay, well, there's no doubt about it. That is confirmed. It's confirmed that exited with pending data. We will have empathy for computers when our humanity has been eradicated. We are gadgets. I mean, that's the way it's going, as you say. Why? Right, the function that's actually keeps that get socket get receive string. No, socket wait string. So it's here, socket wait string, right. So socket wait string socket wait string imp socket wait string imp implementation. We set the receive state to none. Socket get string.
Hello, Dino.
I don't understand why it is that this version stops working. It keeps. Right, I need to put in a. The only way I can figure this out is I need to put a log in here. So, oh, I have a macro for that, don't I? Nog. Make it so.
I captain. Success.
No, I don't think I ever watched that. So here we go. Oh, it's. Oh, flipping heck. It was got out of sync, didn't it? Maybe. I don't know. Well, something's a bit weird here because I'm not getting. It's behaving differently now. As I broke it somehow. Weird. Ooh. What? Real weirdness going on now. I think it was because it was in a bit of a weird state from before, I imagine. I don't know. Let's just, let me just stop and run again. Oh, it's working now. Who knows? It might be that it didn't build. Oh, seems to be working. Really annoying. Just going to pretend that didn't happen. Right. Right. Now I'm going to exit. Oh, okay. I haven't actually implemented the exit yet. So if the state is received, let's do a switch. I hate change if statements if they can be avoided. Switch received case received break case receive state error break disconnect disconnected default break. Right, this should work, I hope. Let's try it. Was there a hot reload? I need to get that sound effect so I know if the hot reload's working. I'm kind of... Yeah, it did. Okay, cool. I'm going to hit play. Go on here. Run. It says disconnected. Really? Are you serious? Okay, let's assume let's just run it again because that could have been just a glitch. No. Stop. Play. No. Funny, yeah, it says disconnected, so I must have another problem in here. It says... Oh. Oh. That's interesting. It seems that it says disconnected. It's so even before it's disconnected, it comes out and does that. But it hasn't disconnected. Let's see if it is actually executing that. Make it so.
I Captain. Hello Dino. Success.
Interesting. Right. Yeah, okay. It does actually appear to be calling this every frame. It's saying there's an error, but there shouldn't be no error. What will be the error? Socket get string. It would get error if this returns false. Oh, so that doesn't work. Oh, what joy. If has pending data returns false. Yeah. I knew it would be that there was it would be too easy. Let's I'm gonna have to search Unreal socket check for disconnection. How to handle a client disconnection. I am able to start a serve, receive data from client. Blah, blah, blah. I'm reading client. Blah, blah, blah. When I disconnect, sorry, it crashes. You've been able to progress the issue. Hi, sorry. Make sure to call connection socket has pending data. This function will return if data is there. If not, your socket is disconnected. No. That's untrue. Untrue. This is not true, because it's possible for the socket to have no data but not being disconnected. But what if a client is connected but haven't written data, and then socket pending returns false, although the client might still be connected? That's exactly what I found. I was opting for using sock receive from to block until the specified amount of bar of the socket. Documentation, this flag should wait. Okay, you can check the socket. Check the socket state. Get connection state. And then, of course, thanks, but it does not seem to work. Yeah, that's... Okay, so even if socket state is different from connected, does not mean... Even if socket... Does not... And safely, you have to check if it has pending data anyways. Yes, connection state is always connected, even if the client disconnects. I did mention, didn't I? It was probably going to be a... Is there anything... And this is before I'd ever seen this API. It just always is like this. Is there anything that might be null? I have a similar problem. What connection state do you get? Silence. 4 years. F socket get connection stay equals connected even if the remote is disconnected. I have read other similar topics and I think F socket doesn't have any disconnect semantics. So I have to disconnect myself by checking the last received timeout, or by receiving my own disconnect packet with own ID. All F socket. That rings a bell. It can't know. It doesn't. It's too difficult for it to know if someone is disconnected. It's part of the nature of the fact that, you know, it could just be that packets are stalled. So one way, oh, yes. How do we know if there's a disconnection? We don't. There's no way of knowing, because right. Jeez. Yeah, so the issue is a long one. Yeah, I've been here before. You actually can't know. Why am I doing this again? I've done it before, and I'm just like, you can't detect a disconnection because it isn't like the connection continually sending packets to say, I'm still here, oh, I'm still here, I'm still here. Because if it did that, that would be real waste of network traffic. So basically, there is no way for the receiver to know if there's been a disconnection. This is why things time out. You announce that you are disconnecting, or the server disconnects you if you haven't said anything for a while. So, which is really annoying. I could try sending something back to a communication, and no, even that doesn't work. You can't, even if you try to send it, because it's designed with the network traffic. It's designed that you just send it off and it might not get delivered. So the way it works is you keep resending. If you don't get an acknowledgement within a certain amount of time, you just keep sending until you get acknowledgement. So again, you can only have a timeout. I suppose I could try to send a packet over, and if I don't hear a response within a certain amount of time, I can assume a disconnection. The easier way is to add a command that is disconnect. And the problem there is there a problem? Yeah, there is a problem. Problem is that if I'm running a client and it connects and then it crashes, it won't be able to say, oh, I crashed. So what you have to do is this is the reason why even if you only want one connection at a time, you still need to be able to handle multiple connections. Because what will happen is one of them will die, but it doesn't know that it's dead. Then you run the program again and it will try to connect. I suppose one thing that could be done is to check for a second connection. If a connection tries to be made, we can disconnect the previous. I can do that. But this means it's necessary to detect a second connection. But I'm not there right now, see, because I'm in a different place. Here's where it handles the connection. So in here, and I'm not handling this with events. And I'm glad I'm not handling it with events, because it's like you get a second connection while you're in the middle of this. So what actually should happen is, this is not a disconnected that we need, but what we need is, oh, hello, we have a pending connection. So it's slightly different. It's like you will either receive data from the connection, or it notices that there's a new connection. And if there's a new connection, it takes that as meaning that the old connection died, because I only want one connection at a time in this particular version. And then that will go back. So what does all that mean? It means
Hello, Dino.
hello, Hal.
Hello, Dino.
It means that what I just did was wrong. And it's not so much that it's error as it is pending new connection. In here, we don't do this anymore. Ah, wait a minute. Well, I can put this in here, actually. What I can do is, I know that if there are no... if it fails, then there's no data, right? So if I know that, then in here, I can check. I better put comment for this one. Check for a new pending connection. Now, how do we check for a new pending connection? I need to use the... on the listen socket, I have to check the listen socket. Or call this. A bit weird, but it makes sense. Socket pending connection. If we haven't received data, we check, is there a pending connection? If there's a pending connection, then we need to return pending new connection as the response of the state. I'm going to keep it as disconnected. I don't have to hit the header file just for... Oh, what's the problem? Socket pending connection. Oh. Socket pending connection. That in front of it. Right. Try again. What have we got? Error. Illegal. Yeah, right. Okay, because I don't have error anymore. Now what I have is pending new connection. Make it so. Make it so.
Aye, Captain. Success.
Okay. So what? It says disconnected, but it's not really disconnected anymore. This is, I just didn't want to change it. The header file would have to recompile or rebuild. So what will happen is that we either receive strings or we get a new connection, which means the same thing as a disconnection. And well, let's try that. So what we do is, let's just do it manually. Oh, unhandled receive state. Look at that. I assert. It's an unhandled receive state because, what is the state? Is the unhandled receive state? Unhandled receive state. So it must have been not a pending connection and not received, so it must have been none. Socket get string. Oh. Yes, I do need to handle the none case. Now in this case, it just returns. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Number one. Make it so. Make it so.
Aye, Captain. Hello, Dino. Success.
I'm not Dino. Jean-Luc Picard. What the hell? Unhandled receive state again? Are you serious? It's just a freak out from previous whatevers. All right, so let's see if I can say make cube. It made a cube. This is good. And then I do Control C. It does not know that I've disconnected. But I can try connecting again. Then, when I try to connect again, then it recognizes that I've disconnected. That's superb. That works. That is good. So, in fact, what it is when that happens is not that it's disconnected, but that it is there's a new in fact, come to think of it, might be good to go all the way back to here. My reasoning being that in fact, it already knows there is a request waiting, but it's a better abstraction, because that behavior of going straight to the socket would depend on this having confirmed that there was a pending connection to accept. So you'd have a bit of a leaky abstraction, and it doesn't really cost anything for it to run through this. It'll just go straight through again. All right. So I think after all that, I might have a ability to disconnect and reconnect. Let's see. So here we go. Make cube. Control C. Reconnect. Pause. Disconnect. Problem is that I can't hit backspace. It'll screw up. I mean, pause 1,1,1. Make cube. Oh, it is very disappointing. Where are you? Are you receiving me? Oh. It is. Okay, so it might be thinking. Yeah, why don't I just print the strings when they come through? Just to have them echo back. So wait for a string and we print it. And now I can make use of my new button. That's a pretty powerful button. And on here we can, I did it in the wrong place. Undo. We need the button here. Well, let's try that again. And like so. And then we hit.
Hi, Captain. Success.
I actually said like so. And it thought I said make it so. Let's go to here. Make a connection. Right, that command, it said unknown command, but it did actually come through. And what I'm going to do is just copy and paste that in there. So filter it, that's it. So we just see messages that we want to see. Now, I go back to here. Hello. This is all coming through absolutely fine. And these are unrecognized commands, but they are coming through. So that's all very good. Now we just hit Control C and we start again. And maybe we'll do. Ooh. Oh, look at this. This is the thing of beauty. It's able to cope with a disconnect and reconnect. So I can go through and run my test scene. Yeah. It made one cube. We have a bug. it only received one of the lines. Why would it do that? Oh, then it receives the second line. That time it received them all. And now it works. Oh. That's weird. So what we have now is a bug. So it is kind of working, but it doesn't seem... It seems to be a kind of buffering problem. I had one of those before. So what I will do is just disconnect this. And now my thing should just echo whatever I type there. This won't work because I need to reconnect after restarting. I can try this, and as you can see, it's kind of buffered the previous. Now, I had this before, don't you remember? It's like it's lagging behind, and then I fixed that. It was an issue in that very code that I've just modified. So maybe what I just did brought that problem back. If the connection has pending data. Oh yes. And that was bad. In fact, what I did was doing that, I reintroduced the problem that I had before. So that makes perfect sense. So what I need to do is deal with this in a different way. I can do that here, actually. This there's no data. So if there's no data, then I check for a new connection, and I just no. I must yeah. And if you disconnect in the middle of and the buffer has stuff in it, no, that's not going to work. So what needs to happen here is, if I get this far, it did not return any output, but it did get the opportunity to flush the buffers. Very important. It's got to flush the buffer. Otherwise, what happens is that there could be that it received 3 strings, then the connection stopped, or a new connection came in immediately. A new connection comes in, but it hasn't flushed the buffer, and then everything goes out of sync. So all I need to do is understand that if I get to is this. Basically, it goes in here, it's got no choice but to return and say that something is received. Basically, it knows that there is a string to return. The only time it will check for what's this? Just copy that, and then the only time it'll check for a new connection coming in is if nothing was received. That was the intention. But if I put it here, it shouldn't interfere with it flushing the buffer. So in the situation where there is a new pending connection, it will not pay any attention to that until it has successfully emptied the buffer. Which so it makes sense. Right. Make it so.
I captain. Success.
Right, so let's see if this is working. We're going to go in here like so. Boom. Bump. Break. Let's send stuff in. Boom. Stop. Let's send more in. And more. More. Yeah, it's working. That's really nice. Okay, so now I can get rid of. I'll leave that in for debugging purposes. Then I'm going to hook this up, and now we should have. Hey, Michael. How you doing? Oh, wow. Hi. Oh, glad. Are you feeling better, or are you? What's your situation? Wow. Sounds like you've been going through a difficult year, even more difficult. Well, that's good. Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. It's worked out. Put this in here like so. That we get that. And then I suppose sig start S2. If I sort of move everything like 100 this way, and save that as test 3. What we have now. What do you mean it's invalid? file is invalid. It's not invalid. I can have a file with no extension, you know. Yeah, you can just end it with a dot. And then nothing after the dot, and then it's... Fooled you. So I'm going to do test 3. So hopefully... Oh, there we are. We have more. That's working really nicely. I think I need to clear a scene now. It could also, Michael, it could also be stress as well. You know, after the year. I mean, pretty much, I think everybody after, regardless, everybody after 2020 probably has a bit of an irregular heartbeat now. Blood pressure spot on. Cool. It would be good if I could clear the scene. But in order to clear the scene, I could make a command to clear the scene, but in order to clear the scene, it needs to remember. And so now this is moving on to the next bit, because we've got a successful disconnection, reconnection thing. But which is great, but the next hurdle is scene management. Oh, it's fine. I'm working on a network viewer that I could use with the Fi project, made in Unreal while learning Unreal, and also figuring out how to create good architectures and blueprints. So the problem is, for scene management, I need to remember what I created. Now, one thing I could do is try to search the scene for the objects I created. But I need to be able to also move these after they've been created. I don't have a mechanism for that yet. What's that? You swear Dino gets healthier in front on screens? What? I don't understand. Kind of mystery thing. I need an AI to help me understand you, Mike. Maybe as the beard grows longer, it hides more of my face. How's that? So, I was saying, I need to be able to move an object after it has been created in the scene. Now, the way I'm going to do this is my favourite way. Because it's not like, you know, I could do it by saying, make a cube, and then the viewer graphic terminal, whatever you want to call it, the nugget window, could say, I've created a cube and its ID is 372. And it could send the ID back across the network. And then the thing that asks for the cube has to remember 372. But it's pointless. You might as well just name the thing. So that API is much simpler, and it means that the thing can work with only a unidirectional network connection. The way that works is you say make a cube, and you say make the cube and call it Fred. And then later you say move Fred. And so the only thing that can happen is if you get a name conflict, like you create an object called Fred, and then you create another object and you also call it Fred. It can get a bit confusing if you have two threads, and the two threads both create a Fred. You could have a Fred thread and another Fred thread, and each Fred thread asks for a Fred. Sorry, couldn't resist. Fred thread. If you was in America and you had a thread creating a Fred, but it was made by the Fed, you would have a sorry, you would have a Fed thread Fed. Fred, sorry. A Fed Fred thread. Yes. I do like puns. Did you know that? Yeah. Yeah, I'll shut up now. But all you need to do in that situation is that you destroy the existing thread to replace it with a new thread. Wish I hadn't gone there, to be honest. I could continue that. I could continue with the Fred thing until everyone's fed up. And really, the point is that the thing that's connecting to the viewer doesn't know what a UUID is. So it's actually much better to just use a name, and that's what I'm going to do. But the thing is that then I need to remember the name, and more importantly, I need to remember the objects. Now, this is actually not that hard in principle. What I need is a map. So I'm hoping that I can do that in Blueprints. We're about to find out. What should happen is when spawning the cube, here I will get a reference to the thing I created, and I need to store it in a map and tie it to the name. So after spawning the cube, I need to there is a map. Add. Hang on. This is probably the key, and that's the value. So the key. Oh, this is really simple. Look at that. Oh, I need to have the map. So I need to create a this is cool. The fact that it has maps actually means it sounds difficult, right? It's like, I need to remember. I need to be able to look them up. When the request comes in, I need to find the cube that's called Fred. Yeah, but all you need is to use a map. In fact, the truth is that all you need pretty much to do anything with programming is a map and a list. Lists and maps, or lists and arrays. Sorry, maps and arrays, in effect, is all you need. You can do everything with those. And it's one of my hobby horses is that fact. No, well, In fact, all you need is C. C doesn't have maps. This was the biggest catastrophe when if I could go back into a time machine, I could change the whole, with a time machine, I could change the whole path of computer science and technology for the better. All I do is I go back to Kernighan and Ritchie when they were preparing their C programming manual, the C programming book, C programming language, the white book. When they were doing that, no, I have to go back a little more. Before that, actually, when they were writing the libraries for the original C language, and say to them, please put an implementation of map, a hash map in the standard C library. Do it, please do it. And they would look at me and they would say, why? Which is quite a reasonable question, really. And then I would tell them. I will tell them the story of computer science. I would say to them, if you don't put it in, there is an alternate timeline, story of humanity and computing. And in this one, this is the one I've come from, I would say to them. This is a time travel episode. I say, what happens is that by leaving it out of the language, people will not think of using hash maps. And they will solve all kinds of programming problems avoiding hash maps because it's not available in the library. And you will feel inclined to put an implementation of a simple hash map into your book that you will write called the C programming language, written by Kernighan and Ritchie. But that will be insufficient because very few people will read the book from cover to cover. And there will be decades and decades of people learning to program or developing programming and just programming who will avoid using a hash map because it's not available in the standard library and will completely miss the value of them. And then eventually this will cause the creation of object-orientated programming, which it really isn't, in C. There'll be this person who will create C++, they will call it, and it will have all this weird and wonderful stuff which is not entirely necessary, because all you really need to write really good software are lists or arrays of some kind and hash maps. But this point will be lost, causing untold anguish, pain, suffering, and missed opportunity in computer science. And they will look at me and they'll go, we don't have time. But that's okay, because I have a time machine, so I can make sure it gets done. I could do it myself. I'll do it. And everything will be great. And the reason I know that, or I believe that this is what would have happened, is just my experience when I was teaching. There were a lot of students that already had some exposure to programming, and they'd been programming themselves and so on. Trying to explain the value of a hash map, I would just get these blank expressions. Everybody would be solving problems by using lists, linked lists. It happened to me. I mean, leave aside that, it happened to me. It's like I was looking at key value pairs. Wait, that sounds like a hash map. Well, there it is right there. Right. I was doing a system where you could have hierarchical key value pairs, right? So like foo dot, blah dot, whatever is the key. But of course, it's all these dots. You know, the natural way people think about it is making it as a tree. So you have foo, and that foo has a child, which is blah, but could have other children. And so you make a tree, construct a tree, you know. And in fact, a lot of students would just want to construct their own and wouldn't even look at what was available in the, you know, as alternatives. But also for me, it's like I'd be trying to figure this out and maybe looking at the alternatives or building it. But still, it was always, here's a node and we'll have a linked list maybe of the children that it has. And then each one of these would have a value. That'd be the key. You'd attach a value to it, you know. So then one day it suddenly hit me. Why not just hash the whole string and use a hash map? It's like boom, it's done. And I was going, I you know, and it's a process I had to go through. It's just like, you know, and I knew about associative arrays. But they didn't naturally fall into my thinking. They weren't like the first thing. They weren't the first thing I would go to. And I realised, oh, you don't need to do it that way. You can literally just have a dictionary, map, whatever, hash map, and go from the path to the content in one go. And there's no need for a graph. No need to have linked lists of children. You want to find something, you just, boom, you do it in one shot. Because hash maps are so efficient. And doesn't mean that you can always do it that way, but for the vast majority of use cases, hash maps is absolutely perfect. So why is it that it's not the first thing that was thought of? I think things have changed a little bit now. They've been, you know, it's more reached for than it used to be. But as I say, I can say that was the case for me as well during my years of developing as a programmer. Like, really weird. And it ultimately is because, you know, C programming language doesn't have them. You have to write your own. It's actually not hard to write your own, but there you go. End of this time travel story. So there's been a cyberpunk update. Well, I think the good news is that in spite of everything, they probably still have, you know, plenty of money to fix it. So it's fine. I played Cyberpunk. I played it until I didn't want to play it anymore. I've gone through only one sort of battle scenario. I only got that far. It kind of it just didn't hold my interest. Maybe it's not my thing, other people's things. It wasn't so badly. It wasn't bad, you know. I'm not saying it was bad, but it just didn't really grab me. But it's hard. It's hard for me to be really satisfied with a game at this point, because I'm always like going, well, what I really want are games with very interesting AI. And a lot of these types of games just don't have that. You're quite right. I need to go and find it. Maybe something to do would be just to read bits of it from time to time, treating it as a Bible. Yeah, working with strings is slow, but there are ways around that. And if you have to use strings, well, the first thing you can do is have a map between a string and the object, and that's what I'm going to try out here. If that becomes a performance issue, then you use IDs instead. I mean, they don't have to be strings. We can have the client just says, yeah, here's an object and give it ID 73, and boom, you're done. So the point is, you can use a map. Have you ever found yourself creating an alternate type system using maps? I have. In the days when I was born, there was a man who sailed the sea. No, the sea. Right. It was. I made a key value system where the value was a polymorphic data type, fully embracing, as much as it's possible to embrace Go, fully embracing object-oriented programming. It was such a mess. So now I just use void pointers, and everything's fine. Well, there was a graphic. No, I played fine and it looked fun, but I mean, I'm not that impressed by amazing graphics really, because they usually just reach another level of the uncanny valley. Look at this amazingly rendered rock rolling down a slope. And I'm looking at it roll down the slope, a random example, and beautiful, really beautiful, except that the rock kind of stops unnaturally at the end when because of the model for the friction. Now, if you have an art style that isn't trying to be completely realistic, then if the motion also isn't entirely realistic, you get away with it. But as soon as you start trying to perfectly render something, it's never ending. You do your best you can, you improve, but the more that you improve, the more that you see little things that you would have totally ignored otherwise. And so I don't really go ooh. Plus the fact that, I mean, these days as well, I've noticed that a lot of games that use sort of physically based lighting, they forget that, there's this thing. Ready for another rant? There's this thing. It's called lighting. Now, if you are making a film, lighting is really important. It is an art in itself, and it's hugely complicated. Especially when you connect it with other production issues. To get the lighting right, you need someone who knows how to get the lighting right, and they do it as an art form. And part of the problem here is because there's this thing when you're making a film in a real world environment, it's using this it doesn't look like you have happening. I can You're really more annoying me, Siri. I mean, come on, what you doing? Gate crashing my flipping stream. And we've got a problem, Hal. Did I ask? I didn't ask you. What do you think weighs? W-A-Z-E. Are you thinking about wares? Hey Siri. Tell me a joke. Well, that was a tasty joke. Did you hear that one? Did you hear about the giant who threw up? It's all over town. Yeah. Go back in your box, Siri. I can't even remember what I was saying. I was saying something that was important, and I totally lost it because Siri came along. What was I saying? It was important. I was ranting. I was in the middle of a rant. Lighting, thank you. Lighting. It's because there's this problem. The problem is that when you are trying to do lighting for a film in the physical world, it's got this really annoying thing known as physical-based lighting. So when you making a video game and you have to do lighting and you don't have this physically based lighting nonsense, lighting is a lot easier. So what we have these days are things like, I mean, I'm sure it's been corrected now, but here's the scene and it's being lit by the sun, and we're just letting physics do its thing. We're using physically based lighting. So everything in the scene is lit from the sun. So what you get as a result is exactly what would happen if you were filming a film in an environment with nothing but the light from the sun. No sort of panels to sort of light the actor's face, no fill-in lights, nothing, just that one. Basically, film a film with no lighting rig at all. And in fact, no lighting designer either. And so what you end up with is, my word, you do look black at the moment, like in shade. It's like I can't see your face. Why can't I see your face? You're in shadow. Yeah, it's because, you know, if you were really there, look, using your own eyes, the way that our eyes work is completely different from the way that a camera works. And then we can actually we can make out detail in different light levels. And somebody there is not going to be just dark. You're going to see the details in their face. But if you go and take if you try, you try and do that with a camera, you end up with just like wandering around. You know, one half of the body is lit and the other half is not. And you say, but surely the scattered light. No, not the scattered light, because from over here it's dark, because you've got one light source up there, and it's just like, yeah, it might be physically realistic, but you're forgetting that the human eye, our eyes, don't work like a camera. So basically, if you're going to use physical based lighting, you have to remember that you need a lighting expert who can light your scene and your environment and all the rest of it like a lighting, you know, a cinematographer does in a film. You've got to figure that out. Except that now you're in an interactive environment, so you have to sort of make that work for all the random places that you can be in your scene. So what we'll need is to invent a dynamic lighting in the sense of like an AI that sort of figures out the best artistic lighting for every situation that you can be in, for every light, especially if you have time of day, which is very popular to try that, time of day, position of the subject, position of the camera. Let's create a thing that figures out what the most aesthetically pleasing arrangement of everything should be, so that it always looks absolutely great under all circumstances. Yeah, it shouldn't take too long. I exaggerate a little bit, but you get the idea. Ah. Yeah, I mean, but this is the thing, and it's really important that if you've got 4 or 5 people looking at lighting in a video game, how many people are looking at lighting in a film? And my point is, it's harder. It's harder to make a game than a film. So I think we should be smart about it and not try to be realistic. It's just not. We need to work with the medium that we have. Well, it's not just enough to say in a film. Let's say in a computer animated film. That'd be the right place. That's the closest. Lighting credits. In, I don't know, The Matrix. This is a film, right? We all know the film from 2000 so I'm just curious. Probably just 2 people. Well, there we are. That proves me wrong. Light. That's the surname. Fairlight editor. Oh. Lead color and lighting. Manex Visual Effects. So it's a company. Lighting technician. Uncredited. Yeah, I don't trust that. I don't know. It's like not everybody's listed, I guess. But anyway, you get the point. The point is, it's not as simple as turning on the technology and expecting the lighting to be sorted out automatically. It just won't work. So variables. Let's do a map. No, let's see. I'll call it items. And so it would be map. I know how to create a map. Oh, right. A map. Come on. I'm selecting map. Ah, okay. From string to object type. Object ref actor. Can I do that? A map from string to actor. Called items. Now if I put this here, I can get the items of this map. This should now take... Oh, look at that! That worked! Cool. I think it's getting better. There was a phase a few years ago where every game that was released would be black and white, in effect. It would just be grey. Well, actually, mostly grey. They took all the colour out of games. I didn't understand that. So everything is a fashion. Well, that map works. So when this created, I can get a key. So I'm going to just see if I can remember the name. So I think I can add a pin here. I'm going to call this name. But I talk for 1 hour on each year of my life. Suppose I could. 0 to 1 years of age. Don't really remember much. That was a quick one. That was quick. 1 to 2. Don't really remember much. Some vague memories of living in a house. I know it was in Hammersmith. Halfway up the stairs, window to the garden, peering down. Some boy my age. Apparently we were friends. It was a house full of Italians, apparently. Don't really remember much. Some other vague memories though. Down in the basement there was a kitchen. I remember a tiled floor. I remember toys. A mechanical robot that scared me. I remember a journey on the tube. I think is when I was taken to hospital because I split my lip on the edge of a bed thing. I still got the scar. So there's a little bit more from the age of 2. Then when I was 3, we moved to Erith, and I remember running around in the. I remember standing upstairs in the bedroom where the immersion heater was, and my mother and father were there, and yeah, we were moving into a new home. Nothing else to report from year 3, so it's doing pretty well. One minute a year. I didn't go to nursery school, so I've got no memories there. So year 4 is a bit vague. I need to stop because at some point it'll start getting traumatic, as I remember all the traumatic things that happened to me at school. So anyway, name. So this will, I've now added a new command, name, which caches it in name. And then, well, I just need to take that name, get name. No! Why is it doing that? Map of strings. That's not what I asked for. Oh, because name has got a type of, yes, it should just be a string. No. Come on. I can't. Single variable. That's better. Yeah. Didn't catch that because I needed to put here a set name. That's where the name gets set, and over here I get the name. Get name, pass it in. So now when something is created, it's remembered. Just see if this works. Save. We saved it. Go back to here. What's my favorite OS of all time? Unix. It was pretty amazing when I bought in 1990-ish. I bought a computer that had Unix on it. This was before Linux came out. It was Dell Unix. Cost a fortune. But it was really exciting and brilliant. And I remember programming in the apps in the X Window system using Motif. Those were the days. I used it to write. In about 91, I used it to write goal. It was a 33 megahertz 486 with a 1024 by 768 256 color graphic card. um, 300 megabytes of RAM. 300 megabytes. No, 300 megabytes of hard disk. I think 8 megabytes of RAM. Running AT&T Unix, I think it was. And it had I think it was SD hard drives on it. 8 backup. Probably the most expensive computer I ever bought. It was a beast for 90. Well, it was really. It served me very well, and I kept using it until eventually I started having problems, and Dell weren't supporting it anymore. But as it happens, when I started having those kinds of issues, and that's when Linux started, and so I moved to Red Hat. I didn't do much 3D stuff on it, no. I made tools on it, like I had a graphical audio editor on it, all the development environment for all the development tooling for doing Goal on it. Okay, anyway, right, so what I can do is say name haha make cube and it should have done it. I don't know, can I put breakpoint in here? Actually, not there. Let me try something. I'm going to just go from here and press my special button, which has gone away because of Siri. Thank you, Siri. Make cube. Right, let's make a connection. Ah, yes. Just realised I need to actually run this without sending any commands from the. Otherwise, I could disconnect and continue, I suppose. But let's start from a blank slate. So if I say name foo make cube, that cube should be called foo, and I put a breakpoint in here. Pause 100, 100, 100. That's weird. I didn't ask it to make a cube. Oh. I didn't realise it did that. Okay. What, that shouldn't try to make a cube, but it's because the command was still present. So I'm just going to fix that. After we switch on the cube here, I need to set making. It's going to be set to nothing. After processing the command, I need to just make sure. Yeah, if it's default, it'll just get ignored. That's fine for now. So what it will do then is it will allow me to set the, otherwise every time I do any command it was making a cube. So let's try that again. Name foo, pos 100 up, make cube, and let's continue executing. Oh, I can delete. All right. Backspace. Right. So make cube and then pause 100, 100, 100, which didn't cause a breakpoint, and then make name bar pause 200, 200, 200. Make cube. That didn't quite work as I anticipated. It should have remembered the some other bugs in there maybe. Let's see what's inside this. Is it possible to view it? Current value. Yeah, it doesn't remember the name. Not really quite working yet. When I'm parsing the... Oh, it isn't connected up. Oh, that's why. I need to connect that to there. I missed the link. Save that. Let's try this again. Oh, it's working though. I can just don't have to worry about the order. Name foo, make cube. Put it all in one line. Name foo, position 100, 100, 100. Okay, right. I seem to retain the values between calls, but that's all right. And I'll make cube name bar position 200, 200, 200. Mistyped. Make cube name bar position 200, 200, 200. And then resume. Great. And these should have names. I'm going to check the names. I'll do one more because I need to get that breakpoint. So make cube name how pos 300, 300, 300. And if we look at this, we can see there they are. Yep, it's working. We've got references to each of those in the map. When I want to access them, I can just access them in the map by name. So what will happen at this point to be able, very close to being functionally usable, to start demonstrating things in Phi, very close. The only thing we need to be able to clear the scene, which only iterate through all of the elements which are stored in the all the items that are stored in the map and clear them. We need to be able to also have a command for moving, and then we say move, give the name, specify the position. The move command, yeah. It's all going to get. This is going to get quite big, but it's almost there. But we'll save that one for tomorrow because it's late. I have to go. Yeah. That's cool. I think tomorrow I will have enough for Phi to be able to move cubes around. That will be a good place to start. Well, maybe I'll add spheres. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. And see you soon. Cheers, Mike. Have a good day, I suppose. So you're down under. See you, Mark. Okay, everyone. Oh, yes. Well, we end with a video. Got to end with a video. That's the new thing. End with a video. What video? Have a Luke. Oh, dumb man. Humming. Let's end this stream with the Hutton Orbital Blues.
Well, they call it Eden, but that damn Hutton gives me the blues. I took on 2 missions, didn't think twice about what I choose. Now I'm stuck here frame shifting, 0.22 light years, just bad news. At Alpha Centauri, locked onto Hutton, 0.22 seen nearby. Seemed strange I was getting no closer, so I asked myself why. So it was light years, not seconds. The blues man can make you cry. Now I'm tired and I'm human, and I got myself the blues. I'm praying no interdiction, 1,000 seas I don't want to lose. Paying close attention, in case I fall asleep and overshoot. Now I'm telling you, Commander, don't you be falling for the ruse. If the contract say Hutton, move on, I ain't the one to choose. Don't you take on Hutton unless you want to haul the blues.